So Andrea, welcome to the program. We're delighted to have you here and really happy that for the Institute for the Awakened Mind that you are doing so many practitioner trainings in beautiful Bamberg, Germany, and having such a great success at both practitioner trainings and group brainwave trainings. And so I just wanted to ask you as the first question, why it is that you have included neurofeedback in your practitioner trainings and basically what you are teaching people.
Very thankful for the invitation, for the recording. Basically, there are some reasons why I included the neurofeedback or knowledge about the neurofeedback. One thing is that I wanted to know where we set the mind mirror in the environment of or the other classical neurofeedback. So what is what's the difference, and where are the special things we could do with a mind mirror, and where it's classical neurofeedback more prepared than the mind mirror is. This is one reason. The other reason is I wanted to understand what's written in the books about neurofeedback. So if there are articles about ADD or what they found in depression in the brain. So I wanted to understand how what they share as a material. So to understand what does this brain mapping mean? What does this raw EEG data mean? What are they measuring? Where are they measuring? And just to sort this out and to realize, okay, we are doing that one and how it relates to the classical thing. This is one thing. The other thing is I'm very excited about the clinical cue. The clinical cue is an option we have on Mind Mirror. And in the clinical cue, we find significant markers in the brain for several things like ADD, like sleep disturbance, like anxiety, like poor stress tolerance, and so on. And you can see this in the brain, and it helps to make, let's say, a baseline, what's going on in the brain, and you can use this as a helpful guide to know where to put your attention on for a meditation, or to say, well, we can see this and this topic. This could be helpful to ask some other professionals when there's a post-traumatic stress disorder to go to a professional psychologist or psychotherapist, or to have a look at the metabolism or whatever, to have a look at where you can get assistance and can help in this work. And the other thing is, I love the stress test we could use for the GSR. And this is, I found out that this is a very, very useful topic. It's quite easy to use, and it helps you to focus on the right topic. And here I'd like to share. So this is a GSR for about 27 minutes, and this is a wonderful GSR that shows, well, the student is relaxing within 4 to 5 minutes, and then stay relaxed, and then we can see at the end, well, this is waking up, coming out of meditation. So this is quite funny. And for the second GSR, I'd like to show you, this is a stress test. And the meaning of the stress test means that here on the first minute, you give the client the opportunity or the possibility to relax as they usually like to relax. Close their eyes, and you can see that this client is relaxing very, very fast. Well, that's absolutely fine. And then you give a stress test, counting numbers, and you can see, well, that's stressing up. So this is actual stress. And then you let the people relax for 1 minute. Then you have a second stress test, like speak or remember 10 people with or names starting with K, or as many cities as you can remember, and you push them really hard and you say, faster, come on, faster, faster. And then you let them relax for a little while, for let's say 1 minute. And then you ask some topics where you want to have a look at if this topic is putting stress in the body. And let's say you have a financial situation, health problems, your childhood, and so on. And after every topic you mention, you let them relax a little bit. And then you find out, well, what is stressing the body and what is not stressing the body. And then we found out in this client, he thought that the most stress is his childhood. Well, we can see not so much stress. He thought it was his health problem. Well, this is here. That's not stressing his body. He said, well, it's maybe his financial problems. Well, this was here. So, but these peaks here are most stressful for him, and he thought this was the most stressful things. And he always asked me, could we work on my financial situation? Could we work on my health? Could we work on my childhood? And with this GSR, you can see that the most stressful things are not what he's thinking about. This is just a memory. And he has a lot of painful memories about financial and so on. But these two topics are the topics he is really stressed. So it's not necessary to work on this topic here. It's really interesting to work on this topic here, because here's the stress.
May I ask, what were his two issues there in those two high peaks?
Be who you really are and use your full potential.
The big questions of life.
Yes. So, and I found it, this chart really, really helpful, because as I showed him these pictures for about 10 minutes, he sat in front of this chart and he couldn't believe that his financial thing is not the big problem in his life. It's that one. So, and from now on, he changed his focus and started to focusing on this two spots.
So, so Andrea, you're basically saying that it's assessment that you're most interested in. That's why the neurofeedback, that's why the GSR stress test is that you want to assess the person from the start so you don't work in the wrong directions or on the wrong things.
Yeah.
What else would you like to show us then?
I'd like to show you some things I work with on neurofeedback, or let's say the biofeedback thing. It's about heart coherence. The first thing is I love the Heart Math Institute for this wonderful picture. They have measured the electromagnetic field of the heart, and for me it looks like a huge donut, and yeah, maybe some chocolate donut, and I like chocolate donuts. So
you like chocolate, period.
Oh, I'm a chocoholic. So, and they say that we have an electromagnetic field around the heart, and it's more, it's up to, let's say, 9 meters. It's really, really huge, and it's more than the electromagnetic field our brain is producing. And we can see coherence even in the BVP. And therefore, I'd like to show you some stress HRV. So this is recorded with a sensor from Heart Math. And you can see that the HRV, well, it's not regular. It's not producing really sinusoidal waves. It's not a very big amplitude. And here in the spectrum average, we can see that there's a lot of things going on in the nervous system on the sympathicus, which means this is the stress part, and also a lot of in the parasympathicus, and not very much in the resilience area here. And we would like to have a resilience here, and we would like to have most of the nervous system active where both of the systems in the nervous systems are balanced. So, this is a, well, not so very balanced thing here. I've got another one here for you. And you see the same thing, a lot of going on in the stress system. And now we can see a very coherent heart. And you see this beautiful sinusoidal waves. By the way, this is how alpha looks like in the raw EEG. And this was like, wow, it slammed me in the eye when I saw this coherence, that the coherence in the heart looks exactly the same like the alpha waves. So, and we've seen huge amplitudes, and really, really regular waves. And then we can see here that this nervous system is a very balanced one. And we can see here very, very high coherence. So at the moment you focus on your heart, you focus on love and gratitude, your heart is getting in a very, very coherent way, and it's producing sinusoidal waves. And these waves have the highest harmonic structure we can see, we can see or we can measure. And this sinusoidal harmonic structures are then related, or then can be seen here in this field. So at the moment someone is in stress, we have in the heart and in the brain and in all the environment, in all the energy field, he's sending out stress, he's sending out not harmonic structures. And so by focusing on the heart and focusing on feelings like love and gratitude, it brings up a harmonic structure inside of us and outside of us. And so people found out, so let's say I've got this information from Joe Dispenza. When we've got the Kundalini experience, we have got a coherence from the brain. The left side of the brain and the right side of the brain are getting in a coherence. The front side of the brain and the back side of the brain is getting into a coherence. And if we combine this coherence in the brain with the coherence in the heart, wow, we've got a huge coherence in all of the system that's inside of us, that's outside of us. And this coherence is able to change our biology, is able to change the programming in our cells, is able to change our hormones, our nervous system, and is able to realize, to override not harmonic structures that have been happened, or that happened in childhood, that happened as an epigenetic markers in trauma from our grandmother, or whatever it comes from. So with this coherence, we are able to override it and to give our heart and our brain a new biology, so a new state of being. And with this little HRV, we can see when we are on the right direction.
Beautiful, beautiful. So assessment, and then using the assessment tools to harmonize.
Yes.
From every direction.
Yeah.
The heart, emotional issues that cause stress to show up in the GSR. And I guess you're figuring that if you can harmonize from those two directions, you're going to get a much better brainwave pattern.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. And you can see that if you clean, or if you harmonize and you get more in coherence, that there's a lot of going on in theta, and you can see that the brainwave patterns we see with the mind more is evolving.
Well, certainly neurofeedback is a complicated subject with a lot of detailed information. How much do you actually teach practitioners? I mean, you show them the 10-20 brain map, I'm sure. Do they are you doing any assessments other than the clinical cue? And are you using any neurofeedback protocols in the Ballistas to actually treat people for brain imbalances?
What I teach in my practitioner trainings is mainly the use of the self-training function to help people to access a certain state way more faster, and to help them, or help the brain to guide into a certain direction. You're totally right. If you use the neurofeedback clinic, the neurofeedback protocols, that needs much more knowledge about the different things. And honestly, I explain just as a rough idea that there is the possibility to do it, but it takes, well, let's say, a lot of time to get really into detail. And to be honest, if you've got a diagnosed ADD, our health insurance is paying for professional neurofeedback training. So, well, it's not necessary to tell people, well, we can do this with a mind mirror also, because no one will pay if you get it for free from a professional.
Yeah.
And the self-training function, and I'd like to share another thing for you. I found this very helpful. And as you see, this is a mind mirror summary report from a person, and this was the feedback, or the mind mirror summary feedback after one meditation. And he has got a, well, let's say his brain needs some guide along the way, where to go, in which direction. And there you can see, after a normal meditation was this healing circle, and then directly after this meditation, I gave him the neurofeedback self-training function as an awakened mind on level 6. And this is the statistics after 10 minutes of doing neurofeedback.
That's amazing. And this is just the self-training audio cues inside the mind mirror. He changed 10% more rewards after just a few moments, after a few minutes.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not very excited about having better numbers. The more excited I was that he reported that after this 10 minutes of neurofeedback training, we got into another meditation. And he said he knew the way where his brain should go. So in the second meditation, after he knew where to go, so I used this neurofeedback, this 10-minute neurofeedback, to show him, okay, use this direction, here it is, this is how it looks like, this is how it feels like. So, and in the second meditation, he was really, he could get clearer imagery, his pattern mastery was way more better, his alpha was way more stable, and he could have way more access to his theta. And that's why it is important for me.
That's fantastic, Andrea, because what you're saying perfectly proves what Max Cade said about hemispheric symmetry, and that without hemispheric symmetry, there was no development into higher states.
Yes, yes. So I use the self-training function whenever I sense that neurofeedback training is helpful.
Do you find that most of the people who come to you for group and practitioner trainings are already symmetrical? Are you getting mostly meditators or people who have never meditated before? What differences do you see in people? But you have seen some people who had some let's just say misarranged frequency categories, where alpha was firing low here and then high on here, and the category was confused, to say the least. And so I know that you put them on the self-training program, and but also that led to the development through Steve Clark of a new training pattern called alpha synchrony that came straight from you. Can you just say a little bit about that? So, because I don't know how many people are familiar with the pattern, but then also why you wanted that pattern.
Okay, so I had one lady hooked up, and she was doing a deep field relaxation, and I hooked her up while she was working in this deep field relaxation. And I saw a wonderful awakened mind, but the alpha peak was going. So normally we like to have an alpha peak on 10.5 with older people or long-time meditators. Well, it's a 9, but normally it's on a 10.5. And her alpha was going on the left side. It was going to a 9, on the right side to a 12.5, and then it got back to 10.5. And then it was whoop, 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 whoop. So her alpha peak was constantly shifting between all the bands we have, between 12.5 and 10.5 and 9, and unsymmetrical on the left, on the right, or whatever. So the alpha itself was a mess. Beautiful amplitude, but the alpha itself was like this all the time. And then I wondered about this alpha peak, why it's shifting constantly, and why there's such a mess. And then I started because we didn't have the alpha synchrony so far, and I said to her, well, it seems like you're going with one side of the brain, you're going to 9, so the other side has to come up, and then it got stabilized like this. And then you drop again and lift up, and now it's balanced again. And I gave her a verbal reward for the drop alpha peak. And after a while, she realized what she was doing, and she reported to me that it feels like swimming and or let's say like diving. And she was diving not constantly on the same height, but she was moving 2 meters down and then coming up and then turning right and then turning left and going down. So a waste of energy, And I said to her, okay, well, I give you a feedback for when you have the 10.5. And within, I think, 8 minutes, she realized where the 10.5 is. And she said to me, well, that feels like a speedway, like a highway. So it was really fast and really quick and really straight, instead of looking to the left, looking to the right, looking a little bit down, a little bit up. So the information she did in the sleep field relaxation came way more faster, way more quicker. And then from this lady on, I said, well, I want to have an alpha synchrony pattern. So Steve, could you please program the alpha synchrony? And so I found this alpha synchrony very, very interesting if people have already reduced beta and they have a stable alpha amplitude, but for the cases the alpha peak is shifting. And yeah, that's it.
And let's just say for those people who don't know anything about it, that this wonderful pattern that you brought us to only gives rewards at 10.5, and it only gives rewards when that 10.5 is symmetrical. So it's really used to train. And I think you said that you had used it with some people to keep them from slipping down into sleep as well. Can you say something about that?
I measured a guy who's done a lot of hypnosis thing, and his alpha was on a drop 9. So, and he wanted to do the reading in the morphogenetic field. And he said, well, it's quite interesting. People ask me a question, and then I can't answer the question, but the answer is coming to me 24 hours later. So, and this is not very helpful if you've got a client and you want to have immediate answers. And then I saw his drop 9, and I said, well, this is like, it's too much in the subconscious, it's too low. And then I gave him a reward for the 10.5, and he said, well, that's really more awake than I thought I should be. So, and he forced himself to the drop 9 because he thought should dive very deep, 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 but it was too deep. And then I said to him, well, come up a little bit more awake. And then he reported that he got, the next session he did, he got really quick answers right in the moment, and not call me the next day, I've got the answer.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, that alpha is definitely got something going with the intuitive realm, and a lot more can be studied and known about that, I think.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I think is really wonderful that you're doing, Andrea, not only studying more about neurofeedback and bringing more about that contextually into your trainings, and no doubt it's going to seep into ours as well, since we do so many Dropbox shares. But also that you go out in general into the world and learn more things about consciousness and how to develop consciousness, and you're quite the explorer, an adventurer in that sense. And I understand that you have recently attended a Joe Dispenza workshop.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit about that? And I think you have something to show us as well.
Yes, I like to show some things. He's talking a lot of so what I found very, very exciting is that he's measuring higher states of awareness with a classical 19-channel EEG. So, and this is, I haven't seen this so far, because meditation normally you don't have the amount to spend $20,000 for a 19-channel EEG. And normal neurofeedback, the focus is really more on the health problems instead of the higher states. So, and I was really, really excited that he has measured a full Kundalini ecstasy in 19-channel EEG. And as I saw those pictures, it was exactly how the Kundalini feels for me. So, and I like to share this screen with you. Here is a normal raw EEG. So here you can see all the places. This is the frontal lobe. This is more the middle part of the, here's our O1 and O2. This is the points we're measuring with a mind mirror, and all the other spots. So this is 19 channels measuring the whole brain. And as you can see no pattern, no whatever, it's a mess. So here you've got all the brain waves, all the delta and alpha and so on. So just keep it, this is a normal active brain. And now this is a Kundalini. And not important if you do understand what you see here, but you can see that the whole brain, there's way more electricity in every part of the brain, not only in one part, but in all of the brain is doing, wow, it's getting real high amplitude of energy. And this is how Kundalini.
It's pretty rhythmic though, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it continues to be rhythmic. There's more
Yes.
peaks and valleys.
Yes. So it's getting into a coherence, and it's getting into this high voltage, high energy thing. And there's one more thing I'd like to show, and this is the coherence during meditation. This is before meditation, and this is after the meditation. And as you can see, the brain is going into way more coherence. So this means far out of the normal thing. And here the brain is getting into more coherence, getting normal. So this is one meditation.
Who took that picture?
This is from Joe Dispenza. So, and this, just to say this, things are from his book, You Are the Placebo. So, and he's working with the high states of consciousness. And he's working with room and with space, and is taking a lot of care about bringing the brain and the heart into the highest coherence. And this is exactly what it felt like to me to go into the highest states of awareness, which start from the awakened mind. So, and the other thing is, going to an awakened mind, there's still a lot of, or as I feel it, there's a lot of, well, there's an environment, there's the senses, and there's maybe a house or whatever. But if you go to the highest patterns like the diamond or the evolved mind patterns, there's still energy, light, and that's it. And you can feel and you can sense the vastness of space. And if you dive into what we call the quantum field, we experience that there's a field of possibilities from endless possibilities. And if you have access to these higher states, you realize that you are the creator of your life, because your thought is picking up one possibility out of this quantum field of possibilities. So you choose, if you believe, well, I'm a poor child, no one loves me and whatever, this is one possibility. And if you have access to this quantum field, well, stay with this, no one loves me, or choose another possibility, and it gets, as a download, it goes down into your field. I had this Kundalini experience, I think 5-6 years ago, and when I saw these measurings from Joe Dispenza, I realized that he has measured with scientific research what I felt 6 years before. And so to see this black on white or color on white, well, that's really interesting.
Supercharged.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, not only about neurofeedback and the need for assessment and telling us about the alpha synchrony pattern and your successes with using neurofeedback in terms of the Mind Mirror self-training program. And we sure appreciate your intrepid spirit for being an arm and a leg, a Da Vinci figure out in the cosmos and out in the world, pulling information back to us. And we just bless you and thank you for being who you are.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.